Hello, today I'm going to show you how to set up your Canon Rebel T6 or 1300D as it's also called. So this is basically what to do as soon as you get it out of the box. So here we go. This is the camera pretty much as it came out of the box, though as I've fixed the strap on, that's important. This is the lens, obviously. I bought the kit lens with it because I don't have any other Canon lenses. This is the battery, which is fully charged. It took about 4 hours, but it's recommended to fully charge the battery right from the start because it does help with the battery life. And this is a memory card, which we're going to put in. So, to start off with, if I turn it round, you can see here, this is on the bottom is where you put the battery and the card in. You open it very simply, and the Canon, the battery, which is a Canon battery, if you have the Canon logo facing you, it slides in very easily. Now obviously the way these batteries are designed these days, they only go in one way. So if you have to force it, it's probably the wrong way. And it has a little clip there just to keep it in place, which obviously you flick back if you want to take the battery out. This is a memory card. It's 4 gigs. Now, recommended memory cards, to be perfectly honest, are from SanDisk. They are the professional's choice, basically. They're reasonably expensive, but not overly so. And the one thing that comes in their favour is that they have a lifetime guarantee. Now, please remember that this lifetime guarantee refers to the memory card, not the images on it. So if you buy a 16 gig memory card and you have 15 gigabytes of information on it and then it all goes pear-shaped, you're only going to get the card back. You're not going to get the 15 gig. So always, as a matter of course, try to save your images and your files and videos somewhere even safer. And usually that means an external hard drive. But this isn't a SanDisk. I don't actually know where I got this, but these things crop up, don't they? And this goes in here, again, at the moment, facing you, the label facing you, and it goes in. So you just need to force it in until it clicks. Again, it won't go in if it's the wrong way around. So just be gentle with it, and then you can close it like that. Now, on the other side, as you can see, I have the lens, and the cap is still on here. It's very important when you've got a digital camera to try and keep dust out of the internal workings of the camera. And so as a recommended practice, whenever you change lens, always try to have it facing downwards so that dust doesn't really fall in, and don't mess around. Just change the lens straight away. Don't have it hanging around wide open. So here we go. Now this is my kit lens. It's an EFS 1855. The Rebel T6 will only have fully functioning EF and EFS lenses. We'll go into that later in more detail. For this lens, you see that there is a white square here, and there's also a white square here on the ring, and you line those two up and then you turn it clockwise till it clicks. Okay, so that is fitting the battery and fitting the card and also fitting the lens. And now we're going to go on to formatting the card and various other things that we need to do to set the camera up. Okay, so I have set the camera up now on a tripod so that you can see the back screen a bit better, as that's where most of the functionality and this video will take place. Before I switch it on, what I've done is I've changed the mode dial to M at the top for manual, because that means that when you switch it on, all the menu tabs will appear across the top. If you have it on some of the auto modes, then only the tabs that are relevant to that auto mode will appear, so you won't see everything. So it's easier initially to set it on M and see everything going across the top. So first of all, let's switch it on. And you will see, here we are, we're on the date and time zone. Obviously, this is the setup. The first time it's been switched on, it won't look like this all the time. That would be ridiculous. It will automatically switch on to onto normal settings once you have done this. So the first thing to do is to press set in order to choose this box, and then you can go sideways, up and down, sorry, to choose the correct date. Now, if you look here, because it's set on London, it is set in the UK way of doing the date. It's the 18th of April. So there you go, the 18, move across, press set to choose. April is the 4th. There you go. Again, set to complete that. If I wanted to change that, I could press set and obviously do that again. And it is 10:35, so I'll check that. Perhaps I should have done it at 10:01. I wouldn't have to keep pressing this, but there you go. That's what happens. And I can't be bothered to do the seconds. Now, this box is essentially just checking that you want to do day, month, year, or do the American way of doing it, which is month, day, year, or year, month, etc., etc. But being the UK, we will stick to that. It is daylight, saving time off. Well, really we want that on so that it will automatically change. So let's do on. We are London time, essentially, and we are good to go. And so here we are, OK. Press OK, and that's your settings. Now, the next thing is to go to language. And as I say, because we're in M, which is here, you can see that we'll be able to see all the tabs going across the top when we press menu. And these are all the tabs. They're not all highlighted because obviously the one you're in is highlighted, but they're all there and available to us. So the language is in this tab here, tab 2. So we move along and we've got date, time zone, which obviously set up initially, and below that we have language. So we choose that. Now obviously in this instance we're lucky enough to have English right at the top. We don't want to change it, but should you wish to change it, that's where it is. And you can change that and set it as we did with the other things. So that's how you would set the language. Now the next thing, which is also very important, is to format your card. Now the important thing to remember about formatting your card is it will delete everything on the card. So if you have anything that you want to save, the best thing to do, in fact at all times, is to save it somewhere else, either on a computer or on an external hard drive. Please don't save things on your card expecting it to be there indefinitely, because cards are more fragile than computers and external hard drives, and you're always, because if you're using the card regularly, you're always going to be in that danger zone of accidentally deleting stuff. So if it's something that you want to keep, make sure it's somewhere else. Oh, here we go. This is something that we will have to deal with. Come on, sweetheart. Right, so back to menu. I'll come back to that shutdown time in a minute. So for the next thing, to delete the card, we go back across one to the spanner tab 1, as I call it, and there's your format card. And the options we have is low level format, which is fine in this instance. And we will go across to OK. And there it is formatted. Now that's very important obviously initially when you buy the card, because it needs to be formatted for the camera, but it's also recommended to do that regularly, particularly after you've just downloaded a load of pictures and you essentially want to delete everything on the card. It's a much easier way of doing that. The other thing you need to think about is your eyesight, because whilst a lot of your focusing may well be done on this LCD screen, if you're going to do any focusing through the viewfinder, then you need to set this dioptric adjustment to your eyesight. Obviously, you need to take off the lens cap. And by looking through here and seeing what is sharp, you will be able to detect exactly whether this is set to your eyesight or not. And if it is or it isn't, well, if it is, you don't have to do anything, of course, but if it isn't, then you can move this up and down so that it suits your eyesight that much better. Bear in mind, this is only your eyesight it's dealing with. It doesn't do anything to the focusing ability of the camera, and it doesn't change the focusing ability of the camera. This is purely just for your eyesight so that you can see better through the viewfinder. And then finally, the auto timer. When we've been watching this, obviously there have been occasions when it's automatically switched itself off, and that is very useful, of course, because it helps save battery power and battery life, but it can also be quite irritating. And if you want to change the length of time it will appear before it goes on to auto switch off, then again you just go to menu. We're in the first tab, and if you look at the top, there we have auto power off. And if we go there, that's 30 seconds. And you can increase that to any length particularly you want, because you can disable it completely if you wish. Bear in mind, of course, that by having the camera on and not doing anything, it's still using battery power. So that's basically why the auto power off was there in the first place. Sorry. And it's also why it's useful to have, though of course you have to remember that it can be really irritating when you're in the middle of a shot and the camera decides to switch itself off.